Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me Friday at noon in Eastern Time or 9 a.m. Pacific. So hopefully you're enjoying lunch or a coffee with us. For people I haven't met before, I'm Alex Norman. I'm the co-founder of TechTO. I'm an operator with 2 exits. I've done professional services, and I'm an active investor in the Canadian ecosystem as the general partner at N49P and the head of Canada for AngelList. We host Founders and Funding every 2 weeks to help demystify the fundraising process and the relationship between investors and founders. We find out there there's a lot of blogs, there's lots of posts, but there's nothing better than actually talking to people that are actually doing the deals about what those relationships are like. Our goal is to help make it easier for you to raise money and work with investors. Today, I'm super excited to bring to you Francois Lafortune, co-founder and CEO of Diagram, and Malik, co-founder and CEO of Nesto. This is going to be an interesting episode. It's the first time we've worked with a firm that creates the companies and spins them up. And we'll get into the background of both Francois and Malik shortly. Before we do that, I want to tell you a few rules of the game. If you haven't found it yet, there's a chat on the side of your screen. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know where you're joining us from tonight, what gets you excited. Bring a bit of your personality to this community. If you want to ask questions, there's a Q&A tab on the right as well. Put the questions there. I will try to bring them into the conversation. So this doesn't have to be me asking Francois and Malik everything. Hopefully we'll get audience participation. Finally, there is an emoji cannon. We switch them up for everything. This is a way to give us live feedback on what's going on. If you want to check out someone seeing some blue hearts, you see it's live, it feeds in and helps the conversation go. And if you want to meet people in this community after the main event, we're going to have networking, so where you can meet other people that are on that side chatting. And if you enjoy what you do, what you hear, share some nuggets of wisdom on social media using the hashtag TechTO. Now let's get started. I'd love Francois and Malik to join the stage with me. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Hey Alex.
Hello.
Thank you for joining from Montreal. Let's start off. Francois, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, Francois Lafortune, co-founder and CEO of Diagram, which we started in 2016. Before that, I spent many years in consulting. I was co-leading the Canadian practice for McKinsey. And before that, I was an entrepreneur. I started 3 businesses before joining McKinsey. My first one was when I was 13. I was buying computer parts and selling white box to people. So it's my background.
Sorry, 1 minute.
We can hear you, Alex.
Malik, can you introduce yourself? I seem to have lost sound, so give me. I'd love for you to keep it going.
Hey everyone, so nice meeting you. So Malik Yacoubi, CEO and co-founder of Nesto. So I'm what we can call some kind of a serial tech entrepreneur. So and I've been creating businesses with my co-founder and CTO Karim Ben Abdallah for the last 21 years. So we've built and sold 2 tech companies, one in mobile payment that we sold to Boku in San Francisco, the other one in mobile marketing that we sold to Cassette Communication, to where I spent probably way too many years as the chief digital officer of Cassette prior of launching Nesto with the Diagram team. So I think we lost Alex.
But you gained Leah, so we're doing it live, the joy of live events. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself. Why don't you let us know how the 2 of you met? How did you get connected?
Can I start this one, Francois?
Go ahead, Malik.
So like I said, I've been working with Karim for the last 21 years. I spent 8 years at Cassette from 2010 and 2018. And Karim and I were like, we need to launch another company. And we're getting older. Our kids are older too, so the timing was perfect. So decided to look at different opportunities, and happens that one of our investor in both of our companies is Daniel Robichaud, so a well-known entrepreneur in the Canadian tech industry. And so I had a beer with Daniel, and I told him, Karim and I would like to launch a new company, and this time we want to make it official. We want to do it in fintech because we've done a fintech company prior of it, being a thing. And then at the same time, Daniel told me, like, look, I'm launching Diagram Venture with Francois. We're looking for experienced entrepreneur like you and Karim. We're looking at different ideas and potential. And I said, okay, perfect. Let's explore ideas with the team at Diagram. What I want to do is a B2B company that would be worldwide. Well, turns out that we've done a B2C company in the Canadian market. So yeah, always stay open. Like Marc Alul always tell me, follow each path like it's the only one. Always stay open.
So I love that story. Maybe let's take a step back. And Francois, can you explain the approach that you have and why Malik was convinced to do something different than he originally planned? So explain what Diagram is and how you started it, and then how the idea of Nesto came to be.
Yeah, so Diagram is a venture builder, right? So what I like to do, what the other partner at Diagram like to do, is they like to build company from scratch, and we don't see ourselves as investor, although we do make investment because that's part of what we have to do to build a company is you need to fund it, right? But what brings us a lot of joy and what we like to do is to be part of the makeup of the building and be working closely with Malik, working closely with the entrepreneur, and really thinking of idea and bringing them to market. So that's the Diagram approach. So if you think about how we're structured, so we have what we call an innovation team, and it's people, instead of being VC associates and they fly around and they meet people in cocktail, like that's the typical job of somebody that's a junior venture fund. Our people, they dream up ideas. They look at what's funded, what's getting traction around the world. They look at problems that there is in the Canadian ecosystem or other ecosystems. So we, any given point, we work on 10 to 12 ideas at the same time, and most of these ideas they fail. Right, most of them they don't go anywhere, and that's what an entrepreneur goes like. That's what Malik would have gone through himself, thinking I need to start a business. So he needs to so what is this going to be? What's the problem? What's the validation? The problem is this process is most likely you're going to throw away 10 ideas before you find the right one. So that's the work we do with our team to de-risk an idea and to bring it to a place where we have a lot of conviction at Diagram and say, hey, we like this idea. We think there's a big market. We think there's a real opportunity, and then we present it to founders like Malik, and we say, hey, we have these portfolio of ideas. We think they're good. First of all, challenge us, because we get a lot of really good feedback from founders to say, hey, I see it differently, right? And there's that Malik and I started on a reinsurance idea, and we explored it and we killed it, and we said, hey, that's not going to work, right? Yeah,
so go ahead. Let me interrupt you here. So this is interesting because I just assumed you reach out to Malik for Nesto, and he said, here's the deal we have for you. Here's the company we have. So first of all, it sounds like you're exploring a bunch of ideas. I'd love to hear how you validate ones that you should bring forward to entrepreneurs. And I'd also like to see, how do you know to reach out to Malik? I heard, again, there was a connection with your partner, Dan Roby's show, but how do you qualify for someone and who are you trying to bring in? And then after I hear that answer, I want to flip it to you, Malik, to say, why are you even open to this instead of starting something on your own?
Okay, so let me tackle this and let's start with the idea side. So the idea side is, there's a lot of idea, and people sometimes get stuck in hey, I don't have the right idea to start a business. We swim in idea. There is more idea that we can tackle, right? There's we have a backlog of ideas that we can't tackle, and we prioritize them based on, first of all, is this a big pain point that somebody has that hits the top 3? And we do a lot of primary research, meaning interview, speaking to people, validating it's an itch that is big enough for people to be like, hey, it's part of my top 3 problem. The second thing we ask ourselves a lot is why now? Because I believe that the catalyst as to why an idea makes sense now is really, really important. Look at our telemedicine business Dialogue, right? I mean, it was the right time, and COVID aside, COVID obviously was a big catalyst, which we did not foresee, but COVID aside, the ingredient in 2015-16 were right, and not 5 years before, and not 5 year after. So, and then we look at the market size. We look at, do we have a competitive advantage? We always want to see why our right to win in this market. So those are some of our criteria that basically filter out our ideas, and sometimes we get some gems that come out of it. And then how do we match it? So our principle is the following. our principle is there are experienced, smart founders that are thinking about what's next and they don't know yet, right? And if we match them with the right thing, they love to follow the path of like latching on an idea and be like, yes, I want to solve this problem, right? And in the context of Nesto, we knew that this was why fintech is different is because Nesto is a mortgage business. If we were to find a banking person that knows mortgages, that's not an entrepreneur, right? So that's not the right CEO. We needed to find a technology disruptor that knows direct-to-consumer marketing, because we want to build a direct-to-consumer brand. And that was Malik. Like, Malik knew about this. He's done it at Cassette. He's done it multiple times. And when we told him, hey, what about this mortgage thing? And he said, well, I don't know anything about mortgage. I said, that's fine. We can solve mortgage. But do you understand how painful that problem is? And that process is? I understand that. So, and then we started to work on it together. So don't want to take all the time. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me drop in this, because actually the story is more interesting than what you're saying, Francois.
Go ahead.
Or more funny, I would say. So you had actually a director of innovation at Diagram, Damien Charbonneau. And I was planning a meeting with Damien and Karim to look at the different. We already decided that we would have killed the reinsurance idea, and I was asking Damien, what else do you have in the pipe? So we planned a session to look again. I wanted to do a B2B company that would be worthwhile. So we were looking at different. He was getting ready to present me the other ideas, and then I just asked him, so what else? What else do you have, Damien, in your pipe? And then there's this thing, but it's B2C and it's Canadian, so it should not interest you. And then I said, okay, tell me more about it. And then he said, it's the mortgage. It's a mortgage play in the Canadian market. We think that there's an opportunity in that. And then I fell in love. I think an entrepreneur needs to fall in love with an idea and a problem that you believe you can solve. And I've been through a mortgage experience before. I thought it was totally terrible. And when I had this, when Damien presented this opportunity, I was like, holy wow, it's amazing. We need to do that. And then I start questioning everything about the customer journey, what they have done, what's the research. And Karim was a little bit late to the meeting, and he arrived like 15 minutes later. And then I told Karim, we're doing a mortgage company in the Canadian market. And he said, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then we got going.
So I love this story, but let's take a step back, because you talked about this reinsurance business before. So obviously you were committed to working with Francois and the team, the Diagram team, right? And coming. Yeah. So what got you the confidence to say, this is they have ideas that are valid. This is a team I want to, like, there's obviously, it sounds like you were looking to start something before you teamed up with Diagram. So why partner? What's a trade-off you made, or maybe there was no trade-off, but what's it? I'm going to spend my time going through their ideas, and I'm excited to work with Dan, Francois, Karim, because there is a whole team there. So explain what you were thinking.
So and fully transparent. Initially, when I started with Karim, we said, maybe we can build different ideas, and we were almost looking to build a diagram. And then I was presenting that to Daniel, and he was like, we're about to do the same thing, but with money. So joking aside, that was definitely a big plus. But I've been working with Daniel for 13 years. So it was really easy for me to say, I want to align with Daniel. I got to meet Francois, found out that he was way smarter than me, and that I'm sure I could learn a lot from him. Really different type of person we are. So the complement of Diagram and the team, and then I got to discover the team, which include Damien Charbonneau, Damien Charbonneau, that is now our chief operation officer at Nesto and co-founder. I mean, the team was just so smart, and I knew that working with these people, I would be able to do way more than just Karim and I. And obviously, going in the financial sector, you need some unfair advantage, like Francois called that. And obviously the ecosystem around Diagram was a big plus for us. And we got to know each other for a long time. I mean, we discussed probably for 6-7 months prior of deciding to align together. So
cool. I want to dive deep a bit more into this, but we do have a question from an audience. Swarit said, "What's a framework for deciding to strike down an idea? Are there signs you look for when concluding the barriers are too high to proceed?" So I guess that's 2 questions.
Yeah. So it's some of the things that I mentioned, right? We want to see, starts with a big pain point, a big problem that hits the top 3. And that's not trivial. Like, we need to really understand who's the buyer, who's the person that like we're talking to. And like, is this a real thing when they go through their customer journey or whatever for this? Is this a nice to have, or it's a real top pain point? And is the timing right? And is the market size big, right? So if we don't have any of those like basic criteria, then we need to find a differentiated angle where we say, like, what's our right to win and what's our angle? It's going to be very different. Then there's a competition aspect where we say, do we, with this differentiated angle and with our ecosystem that we can bring, is there space? Like, is there enough white space for us? And it's never like white. There's always like a lot of gray, but we need to believe that we can actually have a fair shot to beat the way I think about it is, I have an A16Z team in California going after it the same way as we do, right? Can we beat them? Like, do we have a shot? And if the answer is no, then I wonder. But if I can say yes, like we have a fair shot, and then the founder for us, like oftentimes VC say it's founder first, right? And I believe that too. But in our process, then once we qualify all of this, then we go find the right founder. And one advantage we have, I think, is in the case of Malik, for example, we brought in another co-founder. It's called Chase. Chase is a long-time mortgage person. And he had a family business in mortgages. He's young because his family. So the reality is, as a VC fund, you're kind of stuck with the team you have in front of you. With Diagram, you can discuss with Malik and say, hey, what's the ideal team here? And then we work together to build kind of the right team that we believe will succeed.
Interesting. So I want to get a bit more into the relationship when you decide to go into Nesto. But before that, both of you alluded to the Diagram ecosystem, your competitive advantage. So maybe can you expand a bit more for the people? Like, I think people in fintech are very familiar with you. I think in Montreal they're familiar with you, but we got a bigger audience. So explain what your unfair advantage is.
Yeah. So different aspect, and I'll start. Then Malik, please complete for Nesto as you. But so we're so we have more than 90 LPs in our fund, right? And if you look on our website, you'll see there's a lot of people that are like, it's all individual family investor that are either deep in financial services, they are entrepreneur, and they really get involved in our business. Malik can speak to that, but they invest directly. They work with us to validate idea. They give us idea. They help us. Right? So sometimes they become direct investor. Our largest LP is the cigar ecosystem, the Power Corp ecosystem, right? And that also brings in most people are familiar with Wealthsimple and what the success there with Paul's involvement. So Paul is also a co-founder of Diagram, Paul Demre III, and he is very involved with Diagram so. Through that, we're able to open doors. The unfair advantage, validating idea much faster than other people, right? So we're able to go from idea to validation in a few weeks, a few months, because we're able to open any doors that we want. It's partnership and first client, right? Some of our business, we oftentimes have a first client before we have a CEO. So
that's nice. That's the market validation. So now let's get back to the Nesto journey. So, Malik, it sounds like you started diving into this consumer Canadian playing mortgages, a bit different than what you wanted to. Francois, this is an idea you had validated as a team. So both of you said, let's go. What does that mean for you? So when you agree to be the founder, is it you're now on your own? It sounds like you help pull the team together. So what's the process here, and what's sort of the implicit or explicit agreement about working together?
Yeah. So, again, I see we've been talking for 7 months. So it was really organic. It's not like there's a time and a moment in time where everything happened. It's really organic, and I would suggest that anyone should do the same thing prior of getting an investor in. So essentially, what we've been doing is validating a little bit further the idea, making sure that can we actually acquire a customer online, validate the fact that they would trust a brand that nobody knows. Can we sell them a mortgage? And that was really artificial or really manual, I would say. So it was basically Chase calling the lead. There was a name and phone number and an email. He was calling the lead and trying to sell them mortgages. And okay, we can sell mortgages. So that's a first. And then we said, okay, we can decide to invest. And this is, and I'll let Francois explain more, but this is where they do the seed investment, and we get some money to be able to build a company and a small team to start, building the platform and the go-to-market in order to get to a Series A milestone. But quickly, it's you get your hands dirty, you roll up your sleeve, and you start to build your team, you start to validate your marketing strategy, you start to build your platform. And the way we've built it is really like a step approach where we got the lead form, and then we got another form, and then and it was all, and we were promising to our broker, look how amazing how it will be. It will all be automated, but the reality is at the beginning they were working really manually while we were building the platform and understanding the customer and what the customer needs. And along the way, obviously we needed to get funders for our or lenders for our mortgages, and Diagram and the Portage ecosystem really helped us to strike amazing partnership with some of their LPs that accelerate our ability to go to market with better product and better offering to our client base. So
I'd love to hear from your end, Francois. So Malik and the team are up there running, validating the idea, Wizard of Ozing it, making everything in the front seem like it's working in the back. What's your approach? So like, you just say, okay, here you got the idea, run with it. Sounds like you give a bit of money. How do you decide to do that? So what's the support you give, and what's your expectations?
Yeah. So the diagram like model or like standard deal is essentially that at the beginning, we basically own the idea fully, right? Because we started it, it's our team, so we basically are like it's an idea within the diagram like company, if you want, like start thinking about it like that, and we want to keep that period as short as possible, right? Because the idea is like without a team, once we know we want to do this, and that's really the bar for us is like, is there a chance that we don't want to do this, right? And when we get to we want to do this, the next step is we absolutely need to kind of give the keys to the founder, because they will take it in a direction that will be their own, in a way that's going to make sense for them. Like they need to own, like it's their business, right? So as soon as we have the right founding team, and in this case there was four co-founder with Malik and Nesto in total, and then we have an idea that we believe, we do the seed. When we do the seed, we basically give the majority, like the vast majority ownership of the business to the founder. So we go from owning it to being a minority, right? And we don't control the board. We don't control actually, right? So it goes from a relationship where our strong belief is that to attract a founder, first they need to have a lot of equity, right? They need to own a lot more than we do. Second, they need to have free reign, right? To operate in a way that will maximize value for their company, because otherwise I can be managing 5 companies, right? And I don't know, like, Malik knows best, right? So I need to trust him so that's the turning point. And my last belief is we need to help founder focus. One of the big problem with early stage venture is that founders, they go from small check to kind of like a little bit of funding here and there, and they spend the first year of their business like pitching to kind of bootstrap. That's awful, right? If you believe in the idea and you believe in the team, you got to give them capital. So we always give call it like generally between 1.5 and 2 million seed round to get the product, right? So Malik doesn't have to fundraise. Like he starts to build, and then we support them with a bunch of like back office, accounting, finance, all these things. But like the main thing is helping founder focus and being there along the way. So then we set out, the last thing I'll say is we are very explicit on the what we believe is going to be required at Series A. Anyways, we don't lead Series A, but it's hard for founders oftentimes to say, what is it exactly that the market will need to see to allow me to raise a big round? It's just a bit of a mystique VC kind of like thing where you go pitch and you don't really know what you. So we tell Malik, like, that's your target. Like, I know that at Series A, if you do this, you will have a lot of term sheet. So it's clear for him like what to do and what not to do, right? And then we can, but that's the last piece I would say.
So I love what I'm hearing. So what, Malik, basically you and your co-founders take ownership, but Francois enables you to be successful by saying, hey, here, let's help you get the round closed quicker. Let's tell you what you need for your next round. And let's provide some shared services so you don't have to worry about all the admin stuff, which I see founders struggle with every day. Hey, I have to go do bookkeeping. I have to do my payroll. So it's like, okay, here's the idea. It's not your baby. Go run with it. And it sounds like you don't take control. So it's an implicit relationship, non-explicit control. I have a few more questions, but we've got actually a lot of people. This conversation is spurring lots of questions from Jane. She's asking, does Diagram only work in this specific vertical? Or are they open to?
Oh, we lost Alex again.
Oh, did you see the question?
Yep. So right now we're operating in financial services, insurance, and at the intersection of healthcare and insurance, like in spaces where we have a competitive advantage. Our goal is to expand that. I feel like now we've proven that the model works, and I want to expand to new vertical because I think our recipe is awesome because we really create entrepreneurship, right? From like, it's not just investing, we create companies. And I would love to be able to do that in other vertical. That's our plan for the next milestone.
Cool. And I'll just ask the other two questions. Brianna was asking, what are requirements and criteria for people who look and join the innovation team?
Yeah. So we look for people that are that have the entrepreneurial like itch, like they are scrappy and they find angles they find problem and solution to problem, right? These people that are always looking to they don't need to have a network, they don't need to be technologists, they need to be top performer in whatever they've done in their life. Okay, so we look for people that are really ahead of the pack, that are really smart, and we don't build product, we outsource the build of product at Diagram. So it's really more like the business side of thing that we validate. So you need to be comfortable with that. Sometimes they come from consulting, sometimes they come from banking, but honestly, it can come from anywhere, so long as it's a curious person with finding angle to problem and being really smart. So.
Cool. Thanks for that. The version. Now let's get back to the Nesto story. So you're out and launching. You've got basically your Wizard of Oz and your proven idea. Francois is bringing you potential partners, or to actually sell their product. What's this conversation like? Like, how often you guys check into each other? How it sounds like it's how do you tap into Francois and say, hey, we need a few more relationships from the mortgages we can sell? Like, it sounds like you had a good relationship, but is it like a weekly check-in? And like, what part of the team do you view Diagram as at this point? I'll ask Malik this question.
So maybe just before, one thing that we brought in the co-founding team with Chase, he had a lot of relationship already with many lenders. So he brought in like a ton of relationship with many lenders across Canada with good deals already, because they trusted him and his family business. And that was a big acceleration by itself. Then we've looked at, can we go a bit further with the relationship that Diagram have and bring different kind of models with these different lenders, and that was awesome, and it got us to bring new innovation to the mortgage market in terms of products. Now, to your question about how often did we check in, I think it varies in terms of phase in the business, right? When we say, first we have a monthly meeting with the co-founder and Francois, and at the time there was Daniel and Guillaume, and there was and a few people from the diagram team that we were reporting on our last month and on what we've done. Really transparently. I've always been super transparent with the diagram team, so I like to throw in problems more than solution or achievement. So we try to leverage the diagram team to solve our problem more than to tell us that we're good. And they've been amazing at it. I think, Francois, at the beginning, it was every 2 weeks that we were meeting, and then we switched it to every month, and then close to a fundraising, we're talking every day, multiple times per day, maybe too often for Francois' perspective, but that's, that was really helpful. And so the relation depends on the phase of the business, and I find them really flexible overall at the diagram team because they supported us and every business has issues and we did our share of issues and we got to overcome them with the help of Francois and the team at Diagram for sure.
And I guess to add to this, Alex, right? Every founder and CEO is different. And one of the things that we need to kind of respect is that, again, we can have some amount of structure and model and say, hey, I see us as part of the tent, right? As being we're one of you guys, but sometimes we'll meet weekly, sometimes we'll meet every 2 weeks, sometimes every month, sometimes it changes, sometimes every day, like Malik, right now we did. So but to me, the principle here is it has to be what works for the CEO, because that's where we can't impose we can't impose anything. We need to be there, right? It's and be available and show our value. So that's otherwise we're in a relationship of control. And it's hey, that's what we demand of you, right? And we don't demand of people. Yeah. We kind of work together.
So want to, conscious of time, we're still, I feel 3 years from where Nesto is today. So let's fast forward a bit. So obviously Nesto is working, you're getting customers, you're getting partners. And one of the things you said is you have clear insight. Francois provides insight on what you need to get to next. So, and you talked about leaning in a bit more when you guys were getting ready to raise your next round. So what did it take for you to raise your next round? And how did that play out? Was it as quick as Francois thought it would be if you hit your numbers? So tell us a bit more. Fast forward to I guess the next inflection point where you scaled up a bit. So where were you at, and how did that play out? And then what's the relationship been since?
Yes. So just as a reference, we raised our Series A last year in May 2020. So first, that was an experience by itself. Just to expand a little bit on it. So that I was getting ready to up on a plane and do a tour in Silicon Valley and New York to raise our Series A, and then the whole world shut down. So obviously that was a problem solving that we needed to address, and we had clear KPI and so on. We managed to raise our Series A. I'm not sure that was the usual way to raise a Series A.
You mean we don't always raise in the middle of a pandemic?
At the beginning of a pandemic, even.
Yeah.
Just to add a small thing here, the business as Nesto is totally exploding, is doing super well. But the pandemic at the beginning, right? Yeah. People were the world will shut down. And there was no better news from a B2C company that's online digital, in hindsight, than nobody going in person anymore, right? So people were hey, the volume is going to crash, and the volume exploded. But the problem is you don't know that when you're in March and you're fundraising and you need to kind of close your round in April.
Yeah, so that was the worst timing ever.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, a lot of learnings and actually the volume did crash for about a month, in the month, and nothing else was happening in the world other than watching TV and where's the COVID is at. So and I was exactly at the time that I was negotiating term sheets. So really interesting time. and then the business exploded like really fast. Like we grew the team from we were about 20 employees at that time. Today we're over 80 employees, and growing really quickly, hiring in every aspect of the business. So we raised our Series A, and the target that we discussed for a Series B with Francois and the team were pretty clear. Like, you need to get to a certain amount of volume, certain amount of revenue. You need to be able to establish yourself in the Canadian market as a potential market leader, and this is what we're getting at.
And you and Francois both had a great relationship beforehand. Francois, you alluded that you don't lead A's. I'm sure you probably participate in A's. So how has the relationship changed? Because you now have a bunch of other investors on board. They probably demand your time, but it seems like you have a good relationship. So what is there, since, let's call it May or June, what's different between how Diagram and Nesto work together? Anything?
Malik, do you want to take it?
So how's different? It didn't change really. Say frankly, it's like, I don't know. Francois, do you agree? Like, I think it didn't change. We're partnering in that, and again, I go back. Like, as soon as I have a problem, I like to share it with Francois and brainstorm around that problem or the opportunity. I'm saying problem, but there's a lot of opportunities, and at the same time, a startup cannot do everything. And I love the fact that we're, as a founder and a CEO, you're so in your business, looking at it like daily, like days and night, that it's good to have like some kind of outside perspective on what we're doing. So frankly, for me, it didn't change anything.
And the reason I think, Alex, and I feel the same, is two things. First, we are oftentimes the largest outside investor, right? Even at the Series A, we're a minority investor, but we're still a large investor. So we're not like writing a check and kind of like going to. We have a very concentrated portfolio. Our approach is a lot of seed stages, invest in as many companies as possible, see which one works, and reinvest in those. We don't do that. Like, we do the opposite. Our model is the opposite of YC. And those models are successful, but our model is invest in few companies and make sure that they work. Oh, sorry, one minute. So second thing is we have few companies. And what else did I want to say? I forgot my last thing. Sorry, Alex.
Sorry, that's my bad.
No problem.
So you invest in companies.
It doesn't change. Like, the reality is it doesn't change. And I think, the last thing I want to say is, think about it as we dreamt up the idea together, right? Like, there's nothing, like, you cannot remove the magic of the beginning. Right? Yeah. It's not like Malik came to pitch us and we were one of 5 VC and we were the one VC that decided to give him a term sheet, right? It's like we thought about this idea together and we built it together, right? So that stays forever, and that I think like is the foundation of the relationship.
I love this. I have tons of other questions, but we have quite a few from the audience, so I want to get to those. Patrick asked one question for Francois. What are your requirements to be an LP? So I've never seen this question before, so you've really impressed someone.
Yeah. You need to be an accredited investor is the first thing, right? So that is defined by the government. I don't know what like the criteria are, but you need to be an accredited investor. You can look that up. And then if you're an accredited investor and we're fundraising, let us know, and then we can consider that. We tend to be often oversubscribed. So generally we take commitment of more than, call it $250,000, right? So, but that's generally the thesis.
Excellent. Get to Nadir's question, another one for Francois. What's the crux of your model? Is it the quality of the ideas, finding the founders, finding the LPs? So I guess,
yeah,
is it all of the above?
It is. It is all of it, but it's very nuanced. It's like yes, having the right founder for the right idea, but also you only have the right founder if you have either know them for a long time and like in the case of Malik, or you have enough of a group of people that you work with and you track and you interact with, that the one that makes most sense for the specific idea, you need to have choice, right? If you don't have choice, if every idea we have like one person that randomly like applies, then we're like, oh, is this a good founder? Like chances are it won't work. So that's the founder. And then on the idea side, I think we've really owned our recipe. It's like it's to kill things, right? The secret is like to kill things, because otherwise, you can always find a reason to maybe it's going to work, right? But it needs to be, I call it the theory of the juiciest peach, right? Are we working on the juiciest peach? Like, is this going to be like really good when we like do it, or is just one more idea? And if we don't, my team uses this all the time. It's like, oh, that's not a juicy peach, so let's like move away from it.
I think that's my new favorite saying. I'm going to use that with my kids.
Exactly.
You really want to spend your allowance on that? Is that your juiciest peach?
Exactly.
This is a question for you, Malik. How are you able to get the banks on board? Like the banks here, I guess the implication here is that the banks might not be the most creative or innovative. So how do you convince them?
So like I said early on, Chase managed to bring many banks under the normal broker model. So I love the peaches there. So Chase managed to bring a lot of the banks from the broker model, and then we were not that satisfied with that model, because we always had like the customer experience in mind, and controlling the experience as much as possible was always a focus for us. So we've managed to find, for example, a credit union from New Brunswick that had a banking license across Canada that wanted to get some mortgages, outside of New Brunswick, and we convinced them that we're the best platform for you to diversify your risk portfolio. We'll get you an exact risk segment in the entire market. We'll do the underwriting for you, because we just hired like the best team in underwriting that exists across Canada, and we'll do that at a very fair price. And when it's a win-win situation, it's easier to get the banks involved and work with us. But we have to prove ourselves first. So we have to prove that, can we generate volume? Do we have a high level of client satisfaction? Is our experience, superior than what you see in the market? And then as we go, we see that multiple banks are knocking on our door in order to partner with us.
The reality is the clients speak, right? The clients win.
Yeah.
The clients always win, right? Mm-hmm. So Nesto has a 75 NPS, and clients love it. And they have how many thousands of application, like full application with their name of the people, like all their. How many do you have per month, Malik? Just ballpark?
So about 5,000 per month.
Per month, right? It's like all these people that say we want to choose Nesto, right? So. Yeah. Like, you kind of have to go with it.
Excellent. Love that. If you have the demand, the banks have no choice, is the way I summarize that. I'll take the last question I'll take from audience, from Robin. I will rephrase a bit and I'll open to both of you. It's like, what are you looking for when you built a co-founding team? So what are the skill sets that the team as a whole has to have?
You want me to?
You gotta go for. I can start, PP,
yeah.
And you can go after. So first, like I said, Karim and I, we've been working together for 21 years. So I like to, after 21 years, if it doesn't work, like, you must be crazy to continue. So that was a given. And then, like, how can we complement ourselves? How can we complement ourselves with different skills, different mindset, you need to be different to be able to create a good co-founding team. I think too many co-founders are trying to build a team that are really similar to themselves, while you need different people. And so we brought in Chase as the subject matter expert in the industry, and we hired the director of innovation from Diagram in our we brought as a co-founder, and it's just ex McKinsey, super smart, really like analytical, and really complementing the team. And this, I think, enabled us to move way much faster because we were different and we complement each other. So
I love that's operator view, Francois, from the strategic investor perspective.
Same. I would add, like, my first focus is to find the CEO, right? Because we bet on the team, but also first the CEO, and that the CEO will drive the flavor of the CEO, will drive the flavor of the founding team, right? If we had a different CEO at Nesto with not a B2C type person, we would have a different founding team, right? So we start there, and then from a CEO perspective, we need to see people that are first able to attract and know what top talent is and attract them. And the fact that Malik came in with a partner for 20 years counted a lot. If obviously that partner is good, then you could say, hey, that person there is followership. Most good founders, they will come to us with people that want to follow them. And that is if those people are really top talent, which we need to kind of assess, that says a lot, because the one thing that we cannot change is the founder will set who gets hired, right? And the first few hire will so like if that's not present, then and nothing else works. And I think that's one of the single most important characteristic of a CEO is this talent attraction and knowing what top talent is. Then the second thing is somebody that's able to kind of pitch a story that is inspiring for people, because you got to be inspiring employees, you got to inspire investor, so that is, sometimes it's sales, but it's not like sales, B2B sales. Like it's more like being like, here, I'll paint you a picture of the future and you will want to be in that future with me. And that is a second big characteristic. We need people that are extremely smart, because the CEO will need to learn a lot about topics they don't know really fast and have some kind of judgment about things they don't know. And if that judgment is roughly right, it really helps. Then if it's most of the time not right, because we're not there. Again, like the business grows, Dialogue has hundreds of employees, like Nesto's has dozens of employees, right? So this is another core characteristic. And then the last one and then we have like a lot of like founder processes. I'm not going to bore you with that, but the last of the four core things for us is grit. And like people that are able to overcome challenges are very, have demonstrated grit in their life. And if we have those four things for a CEO, that's kind of the foundation.
Awesome. Francois and Malik, I found this conversation very insightful. I could ask questions for another half an hour, but I'm going to let you go, and I really appreciate your time. If you any last words of wisdom or any asks from the audience before we take you off stage?
Yes, I have one. We are hiring. We're looking for everything from engineer to mortgage broker to client servicing to marketing expert. So we're looking to double or triple our team. So many opportunities. Please share with your friends, your family, your cousin, whoever you know. They will have a lot of fun with us changing this terrible experience that is the mortgage Canadian market.
Francois?
No, I would say, get your mortgage at Nesto, and then keep, help us build the Canadian ecosystem. We need more entrepreneurs, more businesses. Send people our way if you think there could be great founders. We have a lot of ideas.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time. For everyone else, if you had a great time, please subscribe to our newsletter where we share highlights from our past live streams. We send you links. We highlight amazing companies across the country and news that's happening in the ecosystem. If you enjoyed this, I told you at the beginning we do this every 2 weeks. Well, next week I'm sneaking another episode in because I got very lucky. We got Benedict Evans, who's sort of a legendary investor, very strong in his opinions, and Matt Clifford, who's the founder of Entrepreneur First, to join us. So, if you don't know who Ben Evans is, you should join us. You'll never hear a more direct person on our stage. Also, if you can't listen to the episodes and participate live, we are now recording and making these all available as a podcast. Go check out our podcast on Spotify, and you can hear all our back episodes. And then finally, on May 17th, TechTO's focusing on the prairies. We have Michelle Romano, founder of ClearCo, back to our stage to talk about her new double unicorn status. Little known fact, she's originally from Regina, and she's going to talk about everything from where she grew up and how it impacted her ability, her entrepreneurship past. And then you have Jordan from Seven Shifts, and Seven Shifts is a company that's revolutionizing how QSRs work. They're headquartered in Saskatoon. So please join us. And if there's any other prairie companies we should be highlighting, email me, email the team, tweet at us. We want to make sure we get good coverage. And finally, but not least, if you want to meet the other people that are still here, we're going to open the networking sessions, and it's going to be open for the next hour. Be kind, be polite, and help people build this ecosystem. Thank you for joining us.